Alright, so in this video, I'm going to talk about what the torque steer is like in my 2016 Focus ST. This pretty much comes up anytime you're driving a performance car that happens to be front-wheel drive. So I think it's going to be a good topic for people looking to buy this car, just so you can get an example of exactly how prominent it is. Is it something that's going to annoy you? Do you get used to it? So I have a couple ways I'm going to be able to show this to you, and hopefully you enjoy it. But feel free to comment below, subscribe if you're interested in more. We'll go from here. So I have this piece of straight road right in front of me here, and it's a perfect area for me to show this. Basically what I'm going to do is take my hands off the wheel, go through the gears, and show you guys kind of how much it pulls. Then I'll put my hands lightly on the wheel, and kind of talk about my experiences that I've had with it so far, driving it quick, driving it slow, because torque steer is definitely something that's prominent in this car and something that you should consider. If it's really going to bother you, it's definitely in this car. All right, I'm on a straight piece of road right now. I'm going to take my hands off the wheel and just go through first and second gear and show you what happens. So that wasn't all out through first. I think there would have been a little tug, but as you can see, that was really stable. I don't have, this is totally stock. I don't have any differential or anything on this that would help reduce torque steer. So that's not that awful. Let's do that again. Here's a little bit. So you could see the wheel pulled pretty hard right there because I gave it a little more in first gear. That guy was giving me a crazy look. So it's definitely there, and the only time that torque steer, when it happens in this car, the only time that it really affects me is when I'm, like, if I go up this straightaway and I just punch it, once I'm up at like 50, 60, 70 miles an hour, and there's maybe a little seam in the road, it likes to take those seams and kind of like flops around. Like, see, like there's a little pull. So, I mean, I can see how it bothers some people. And this is definitely, I mean, when I was getting this car coming from a Civic Si, in my Civic Si, there was a helical limited slip differential, so, and it also had a lot less power and virtually no torque. So it really wasn't that much of a factor. With this car having 273 foot-pounds of torque and 252 horsepower, that is a lot of power to go through the front wheels while having no differential up there. What I will say though is overall it rides very well. Torque steer just sometimes in this car will surprise you, and you can be going, I can be going at this speed, 25 miles an hour, and accelerating through first gear, and for some reason it will sometimes just, it catches a groove in the road or an uneven surface and it just kind of pulls you over there. So it just can kind of surprise you sometimes. Is it annoying? Have I not gotten used to it? I've almost had this car for 10,000 miles, and I would say I'm pretty used to it. It doesn't really bother me. I don't like it. I wish it wasn't there. I wish this was an all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive car, but this is the cheapest way to make a car, is to make it with front-wheel drive, and that's part of how they can keep the cost down so much. So, yes, it's definitely in this car, as I'm sure you are all aware, but I just want to try to prove to you that it's not that huge of a deal, while still acknowledging that it is, you know, it is part of the driving experience in this. So let's do this again. I'll try to go about 75% throttle. Oh shit. So yeah, there you go. I mean, it definitely pulls. Now, if I put my, damn, I'm taking it hard on this car tonight. If I put my hands lightly on the wheel, I'll show you what that looks like. More realistic. I mean, it didn't even pull there. I am on a pretty smooth road, I will say that, but it's really not that, it's just not that big of a deal. So I think, you know, when you're driving this car, the 13 and 14 models, from what I remember when I test drove them, it was a lot more prominent. In this model, they added a rear engine mount. They also reworked the suspension, and that helped that a lot. I remember I drove a 14 model, and it was a lot more prominent. I could be remembering that wrong, but I remember driving and being like, whoa, it's not as bad. But it takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's just such an overall good car that's such a minor point that you should take into consideration. You know, when you're going to buy one of these, you drive it for a couple miles up the road, and that's what you have to take from going into a big purchase. So it's kind of tough, and that's why I've broken down this car across my channel. So if you come down to it and you're just like, I don't know about the torque steer, because that's all you hear about in the comments. As I proved in this video, it's really not that big of a deal with your hands on the wheel and you paying attention. If you're messing around, texting and screwing off, yeah, I mean, you could get in a wreck if you're not paying attention. But if you're driving this car, I'm sure you're enjoying driving and you're not messing around like most of the other idiots on the road. So I hope this helped you. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments below. I get back to almost everyone. But the next video coming up is going to be probably my 10,000 mile review. I'm at 9,958 miles. Tomorrow, I think I'm meeting up with Gary to go over his Maserati. So that should be a really cool video. But yeah, that's what's going on. I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe, like, comment, and we'll see you soon.